Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel. Alright, so what I got for you today is I'm going to be analysing some of my own gameplay on War Thunder. Now what you're going to see is pretty much what happens when you end up with the red mist coming down and you end up on tilt. So let's take a look. Alright, first of all, we're gaining some altitude because it's a high altitude map, and I know that the P-38 is a good climber, so I'm just trying to get some altitude and we're going to see what we can do. Now initially I started to go for this Wellington, but what he's going to do, he's going to dive down, right down onto the, onto the ground, so I don't want to do that, so I'm going to ignore him. Now instead I decided to target this second Wellington. Now what I should have done ideally was probably go for the Spitfire that was following it, because the chances are they were probably in a squad. And it doesn't start off very well here at all, because I nearly lost my plane, and you'll see why shortly. So let's take a look. Right, so as you can see, or you may or may not know, but I'm coming in at completely the wrong approach angle. Although we do manage to do some damage. But what I've done there is I've crossed right across the path of his guns. I'm taking damage, and I've also crossed into the path of the Spitfire behind him. And luckily though, I managed to evade the Spitfire, who eventually loses interest in me. And that's what I like about these high altitude maps is, there's room to manoeuvre. Right, so now I'm back onto the Wellington. Now there's not too much wrong with what I'm doing here, because I'm keeping low, basically trying to stay out the way of his guns and to gain on him quickly by going to what's called a low yo-yo. Except I pull up way too early and end up taking damage, so I have to duck back down again. Although we do get the kill. Alright, so I've got damage to my engines and basically most of my superstructure. Although it's only yellow, so we can cope with it. I'm going to fast forward along here. And again, going for this PBY, I get very lucky. Because in the back of those things is 250 caliber machine guns, which will tear you apart, although I was very lucky because they didn't seem to be firing back at me. And we get the kill. But that could have easily have gone the other way. So now what I'm doing here is also not too smart, because I'm hanging around in the enemy spawn and I end up turning with a Yak 7. Now the P-38 is not really great at turning. And I'm wallowing around at relatively low speed and almost end up in a rolling scissors. And what I try and do here is I try and go into what's called a climbing spiral and completely fail. So now what I'm doing is I'm wallowing around at high altitude with low speed, and really I'm lucky I didn't get shot down there and then. Although it does work out quite well, luckily for me. Let's take a look. Now it worked out where I was in a position to basically get a perfect deflection shot at the full profile of his plane. And I don't care who you are, you're not going to stand up very long to 20mm cannons and 50 caliber machine gun shells at that angle. Alright, so we're just resetting here. And why I decided to loop there, I don't know, but it did allow me to get extra speed on my dive. Once again, wallowing around at low speeds. And again, a very lot of times I was very lucky not to get shot down. But my luck's going to run out very shortly. Right, so diving on this hurricane. And this is my first mistake. I open up way too early. Well, I do the right thing here by not trying to turn with him. And instead, I'm going to go for this A20 Havoc. But watch what happens. Completely mess up my aiming, and the rear gunner gets a lucky shot. So by this point, I'm quite triggered. Now, I'm sure as many members of my Destiny Fire team will tell you, I am quite competitive. So I'm going to come back out in my backup P38. Which is not too... Now what I'm doing here is I'm going straight for the person who killed me. Which is pretty stupid, right? I would say it's pretty stupid. But wait, there's more. Let's see what happens. So let's see that again. And again, not only do I come in at completely the wrong approach angle, I'm not leading far enough in front of him, and as a result I end up directly behind him by the time I get into firing range. Not only that, my aim is way off, which I know I do need to work on my aim, it's a work in progress, but I sit on his tail for too long, determined to get the kill, which of course I don't. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the inevitable result. So as you can imagine, by now I'm on full tilt. So out back I come in my F4F Wildcat. And instead of going for other enemies, where am I going? Yep, you guessed it. I'm going straight back after our friend. Look at all those other red planes that are far closer. Now, as you can see, there are plenty of other planes that I could have gone for. Right, so now I'm almost in range. And let's see what happens. And again, I haven't learnt my lesson because I'm directly behind him. Although I got the kill on that occasion, I was very lucky that I didn't get spotted. Right, so by this time I'm not really thinking straight. Now, instead of building up some more speed, I'm now turning in an F4F, which is not really a good idea. I'm doing a low yo-yo to go up to gain some distance on this MiG-3. Which yields me nothing because my aim again is not all that it might be. So I'm losing more speed by turning sharply, which I should not be doing. in this aircraft. So now it's time to try and chase down this P400. Which is getting away from me a little bit. So just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and take out this ground target. Normal cars don't really stand up too long to 50 caliber machine gun fire. Okay, so now I'm going back after the P400 with the pack chasing, which almost leads to me losing my plane, as you'll see here, because here he forces a head on. Now, given the P400's nose mounted weapons, I really should not have won that, and it almost cost me my engine, as you can see. Okay, so I made a lot of mistakes during this game, but luckily by analysing my gameplay I can actually improve and correct those mistakes. Okay guys, thanks for watching. That's the end of the gameplay, and I hope to see you all next time.